Hi, Mom and Dad. We just want to wish you a very happy anniversary. And we thought this year for your anniversary, we would just put together this video, just sharing each of us talking about a few of our favorite memories growing up. Start off by saying we're really blessed to have a great childhood growing up with two parents that loved us, sacrificed a lot for us, worked hard to make sure we had everything we ever needed, and more than that, or most of the time wanted. So thankful for that. Thankful for just the godly parents that you were, and that you go to church with us and teach us about God as well. So we just want to express our gratitude. I don't think we say it enough, and maybe just hopefully bring up some nice memories growing up. I'll start off. One of my favorite memories is that how both of you just were always at all of our sporting events or any activities that we were involved in. So I could remember our wrestling matches. Dad would carry around the VCR and record our matches, and Mom would you'd have the camera out and taking pictures and always cheering us on and supporting us at baseball games.
Yeah, I remember Mom.
CYO.
Yeah. I remember Mom would always be like, on a wrestling match, try and look over at me where you have him on his back, or when you're at bat, try and look over at me so I could get a good picture. She'd practically come out onto the field or the mat sometimes.
Yeah, and I remember Dad was able to coach a couple of our teams. We had the CYO championship that we won, and also the Babe Ruth championship that we won.
Yeah, I remember the CYO championship. We beat the other Seaford team in the finals. That was a great memory. And then also we won the Babe Ruth championship, I think the following year. So and Dad coached on that as well. So that was just a great time that we had, a great memory.
Yes, so we're really thankful for that, and just knowing everything that we did or any events we had, that you were always there in our corner, supporting us and encouraging us. So thank you for that.
I want to talk about some of the vacations that we've been on. I know, Eric, you had a couple that stand out to you. I'll let you go first with that.
Well, all the vacations were a lot of fun, and I remember Mom always saying that, this is something we'll be able to look back on someday, and very intentional about creating those memories while we were young, and I'm glad we did that, and she was right. They were all a lot of fun. I think what I was thinking about today, the ones that stood out, was the one we went to Montauk. Even though it wasn't in a plane anywhere or someplace exotic, it was just a very fun time. I think about that vacation a lot. Playing tennis, playing golf, the nice little bungalow that we had, the restaurants.
Going to the beach.
It just seemed like a really nice, fun getaway. And it was one of those vacations that it was kind of a surprise at how much I enjoyed it. We just went out east for a couple of days. And I even remember the trip going out there and seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, we went Memorial Day weekend to check it out at first.
Check it out, and just really, really thinking back on those days and really enjoying it.
Did you play Montauk Downs with that?
I did play Montauk.
Dave and I didn't play that time.
No.
Yep.
I'm sure you did very well on that course.
Yeah. I mean, I shot on the 200, so it was really kind of one of my shining moments in my golf.
I will take you to one of my great memory from Montauk Downs. If you remember, we played years later.
2003.
And Dave and I, that's when Dave and I showed up in our knickers at Montauk Downs.
Yes.
And Dad was very embarrassed by us, but thankfully we were on a course where he didn't know anybody. So.
Yeah, as long as he didn't know anybody, I think he was okay. If we were with his friends or something, I think
that was the first time we showed up in knickers, and
that's right.
I think Dad was like, I can't believe these two.
Yeah.
Some vacations that stood out to me, I think there's a bunch. I mean, I remember Fort Myers even. That was a great trip. We stayed in a similar bungalow type house in Fort Myers.
The Pink Shell.
Yes, the Pink Shell. I remember we went parasailing there.
I remember we went to the Minnesota Twins training camp.
I remember that as well.
Because I think we went in February break.
They won the World Series.
Yeah, and it was during the spring training. So we went to the Minnesota spring training camp there.
Yes.
So yeah, and one of the things I remember about that is the pink shell is, I guess that's what it was called. In the lobby, they had like 2 video games, and there was
Yeah,
they had
that's
the
right.
they had the wrestling, and
Me and
like
David just played all the
Rob
time.
and I were like so excited to just go down, and like Mom would give us and Dad would give us like a few quarters, and we would go down, and like this is the best hotel ever because it has this video game in the lobby. Never mind that it was on the beach at a nice area. Like this video game's awesome.
It reminds me of my kids.
Yes.
Well, the thing about the 2 trips, the one in Montauk and the one in Fort Myers, the Montauk, I mean, it's a fortune to stay in the surf club now.
Yes,
Sure.
I've looked up prices of that, so I
It's
know
like
I know that
$800
is
a
the
night.
case.
It's like
Yes.
something
Sure.
insane.
Because
Crazy.
I thought of replicating that vacation. I was like, wow, this is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a, lack of a better way of putting it, a relatively cheap trip vacation.
Yeah.
We were staying local, and it was nice. And then Fort Myers, the Pink Shell, wasn't really, I mean, it was a nice place, but it wasn't well known. Now it's one of the well-known places in Fort Myers. It's actually a very expensive place to stay at. I know people who live there, and I brought it up, oh, geez, you stayed there. Well, it was 1992.
Yeah.
What I also remember about that trip was there were lots of things, but I remember the last day we spent at Busch Gardens.
Yes.
Oh yes.
It rained,
Yes.
we got wet, and
That was great.
we still had so much fun. It didn't deter us. I
I
remember,
remember-
walking around in those Busch Garden
Yes.
raincoats.
I remember standing on the bridge where that one ride
Yeah.
came and then it splashed. I
It's
mean,
like
we were getting wet on the
beautiful.
rides anyhow, so the rain wasn't really that big of a
That's
deal. Yes, that's right. I forgot we went to Busch Gardens then.
Another great vacation.
And then we went from there. Sorry, Rob. From there, we went to the airport. We actually changed in a restaurant at McDonald's from our clothes because we were wet.
I think I remember
And
that.
then we went to the airport, hopped on a plane, and then the next day went back to school. So,
Your memory of all these details is amazing.
Yeah.
One
All
of
right,
our-
I'm going to throw one in. I'm probably going to say the same one as you. Is when we went to San Diego. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
that's what I was
going
gonna
to
bring
say?
up,
So we went to San Diego.
If you remember, I think we spent a lot of time in the airport on the way there. I
Yeah,
think
there's some kind of mix up with
some
that
kind of
flight.
mix up, and we were in the Chicago O'Hare Airport probably
Yes.
all day. But
Yeah.
I remember that just there's a lot of hype building up to that because that was the first time we were ever going to California and we were going to go to Disneyland. And I remember
Yeah.
that was when Dave and I were in 7th grade, I think, and 7th or 8th grade, one of those two.
Sixth grade maybe.
I don't know, one of them.
Yeah.
But it was I think there was a lot of hype just built up for that one. We went over the February break and we were so excited to go to California. I know Dad was excited about the San Diego weather and we did a lot of fun stuff. I remember playing tennis there a lot. I remember going to some
Well, the cliffs were very pretty.
Yeah.
There's a
We
lot
went
of
to the
cliffs.
San Diego Zoo.
the zoo.
San
I
Diego
remember
Zoo.
that. Yes.
Well, can I say something? Is that, with all our vacations, Dad was like a compass.
Yeah.
I remember
Before the time of a GPS
Yeah,
and
literally
apps on your phone and stuff.
before the time of his GPS, he could find his way effortlessly, and he had been there many years before. He used to do that all the time. He had this sense of direction that was incredible, and I don't remember ever getting lost
No.
being in the car with him.
He never
which
got
is-
lost.
Which is really kind of remarkable. He really had a built-in GPS.
We went away to Virginia this past weekend, and Julie and I were talking. I was like, what did people do before GPS, like, to find themselves around? Like, because we were going through these backwoods of Virginia. Like, what would we do without this GPS? I had no idea where we are. But Dad always navigated around. There was no way to look up on your phone or, call a hotel from the car or call a place up.
Right,
and
no cell phone.
there was no cell phones or anything. And, there's no internet to check out these places online and read reviews about it, which is what we do now anytime we go on trips with or look at places. But somehow made it work and always had a good time.
I know with Dad also, it wasn't easy. He had to take off from work and running the business. It's not like us now. We had off from school or something like that, but he had to take off, find time to take off from running a business to go on these trips, which we definitely always appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have time to go through every vacation, but thinking about all the places, we jot down a few. We already mentioned
Well,
Fort Myers.
I got to one that we went to Seattle and California. That was
Yeah, that was actually after we had
that was
right after we
later on.
graduated college. We weren't
because that's when we played Pebble Beach
So
together.
that was 2001.
Yes.
That was 2001.
We went in the hot air balloon in Seattle. I remember Mom was so scared about that. That was fun.
We
But
played
then
a couple of nice golf courses and stayed in the lodge at Pebble Beach.
yes,
That was amazing. That was really, the lodge was phenomenal. That was like July 5th
yes.
and 6th or something of 2001.
I remember Dave and I had on our bathrobes in there in the lodge and playing Pebble Beach. We were living it up.
And Spyglass.
And Spyglass too. Spyglass, I shot about a 200 on there.
Yeah, you did good. You did good.
Talk about expensive places to stay. It was expensive back then. I can't imagine what it is now.
Going on that 17-mile drive. I forget the name of it.
That's what it was called, the 17-mile drive. It was actually called the 17-mile drive,
Okay.
and it was along that peninsula, the Pacific Peninsula there, and that was breathtaking. One of the nicest places we've ever seen.
I look at taking my family on vacation like, wow, it makes me appreciate more the trips that we went on because I know.
Yeah, you have a tent in the basement.
Yes,
you know?
that's what we do.
I mean, just some other ones that I remember. We going to Virginia, going to Hershey Park, going to the Baseball Hall of Fame, Arizona, Niagara Falls, Bahamas cruise, Myrtle Beach. So we were really blessed to get to see some really nice
I
places.
think one of my favorite trips, just the Baseball Hall of Fame. I remember we went once when we were younger with Dad, just
Yes.
for all of us.
And we
Stayed at
that's
the,
right. Just
I forget the name of that hotel.
the Otasaga.
The Otasaga. We stayed there, and then I remember we went after we were adults back to it and played the golf course there.
Yeah.
Leatherstocking, I think is the name of it. And
Yeah.
then
The Leatherstock.
yes,
Right, yeah.
we
Remember.
I remember the hotel where we went in, the floor was not even, and Dad's like, boys, we'll see you in the morning. Me and Mom are getting a different place.
Yeah.
I remember it was kind of a rainy day, and me and Eric were up on a hill, and we went sliding down on the golf
We
cart
did.
there.
Thought we were gonna die.
Yes, I remember that. They almost flipped it.
But we had those were great trips, and both times we went to the Hall of Fame. Those are ones that stand out to me for sure.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One of the things really cool is being able to go to church together as a family, and all of us get baptized together. So that's what a blessing that is. Just to, one of the things I was thinking is just that we always just enjoyed each other's company. Like, a lot of kids and teenagers were like always preoccupied. They wanted to do stuff with their friends, but if we weren't doing stuff with our friends, we at home we had fun stuff. We went to
Went out to eat almost
we
every
went
Saturday
out to
night.
eat. We went to a lot of movies together as
Went to
family.
the
One of the
club.
movies I remember going together is going to see Rocky.
Oh, Rocky 5?
Rocky
Rocky 4.
4.
Yes, Rich came
And,
with us.
uh,
Rich Esposito.
And I remember on the way back, we were still pretty young. That Dad broke the news to us that wasn't a real, true movie. I thought that was like an actual, like Rocky was an actual person. This really happened, and I remember Dad saying that they're actors and it's not real. And I was just like, what? Like, that's rocked my world when he told us that.
I'm
that
just realizing this now.
yeah. So that stands out to me about that movie because up till then I thought it was the real thing. But yeah, we always did fun things together. Play games together, or watching Met games together. Long-suffering Met fans, just over again.
Mom, someone makes an error. Get rid of them.
Get rid of
Get rid
them.
of them. Strikes out. Get rid of them.
How many blown games have we seen? Disappointments where we just all shook our heads and been like, "Can you believe this?"
I remember watching the World Series in 2015, and I was like, "We're finally get to see a win. We're in the World Series together." Because '86 we were really young,
Yeah.
but I thought in 2015 we would get it.
But that also brings me to when we all went to the 1988 playoff game
Yeah, remember that?
with Dad when the Mets played the Dodgers,
The
and
first time it got rained out.
It got rained out on the Friday night, and then we went on the Saturday, and it was a cold October day. And just remember that was the only playoff game we've ever gone to. So that
I
was
remember Dad used to take us to Cedar Beach a lot and play the par 3 golf course there.
Yes,
we
on
had a lot of
Saturday
good
mornings.
times there.
Yeah.
And I think I admire Dad's patience because I think there's a lot of times when I look at now of kids, like we probably drove him nuts and on the golf course at that Cedar Beach one because we were so young, but we always managed to have a good time together and some good memories there.
Well, I guess what I wanted to bring up also was just gratitude for trying, always really giving us the best that you could. Making sure I got the best care for my cancer at Sloan Kettering in the city. Mom came with me, brought me there. That was not an easy thing. being, on the train tracks and in the middle of winter, and also really, paying for our college. That was a big deal, making sure that, we got into the best schools we could, and just supporting that and supporting our dreams and, supporting our careers. And, that is something that, we'll always be grateful for, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, I remember even, with Dad owning his business and stuff, that we'd sometimes go with him, and he'd take us a ride around on the forklift or something, or he made baseball card plastic holders for us that we actually sold at school.
I remember he'd take us to work with him in the Belmore shop there.
We'd stop and get a roll, and he'd set us up with something to eat and some toys to play with.
He'd try to get some work done while we would go nuts.
Yeah.
And didn't Mom always make from wrestling a certain fish for you
She
every
did.
time?
She was very.
Didn't she always do that?
She was great because Dave and I were trying to get down to weight classes, and Mom would always make sure that we were getting our weight down and feeding us and keeping us nice and healthy. So that was definitely something.
And up until we started wrestling, obviously Mom and Dad had never known much about wrestling, and they always learned as much about the sport. Especially Mom, she would even watch some of our instructional tapes that we had and try and give us some strategy and some tips for when we were wrestling. And
she loved coming to our matches, coaching and everything.
This day.
Yeah, to this day she likes coming, watching the matches, giving us the commentary on the matches, her point of view on it.
And it's funny because I always, when I talk to the team afterwards, the next day of practice or something, I'd be like, my mother was in the stands, and she said this to me about the team. This is someone just watching doesn't know anyone on the team, and she's right. So if someone just comes and watches a match and picks out these things, there's got to be something to it. So appreciate that. And
some more favorite memories. This is getting into more recent times. Obviously, our wedding, but when our children were born. I remember going to Mom and Dad's house when we found out that we were having twins, and we didn't tell them. And I showed Mom a picture of the ultrasound that they had, and Mom and Dad are looking at it together, and they saw Mom just goes, "Wait a second, there's two here." Yeah. So that was just one of my favorite memories. I remember just being so excited to go to their house and tell them that we were having twins. What an exciting time that was, and then. Them being there, I remember when Jackson was born, the first grandchild, Dad was out on a walk or something, and he said he went running home and got Mom and everybody in the car, and it was a really exciting time when the boys were born, and just the times that they babysat them and had them over for breakfast and took care of them. Just the boys loved going over to see Mama and Papa.
Yeah, I remember. Eric, you probably remember. There was one time where. Julie and I dropped off Johanna when she was a baby, and she had gone through a time where she was very colicky and we didn't figure out her diet just yet, and I think she cried the entire time she was with you guys.
Concerned.
So thank you for that, and being great parents, grandparents, great mom and papa to our kids, and. We're just really blessed to have you guys living close by. We could see you often, and to this day, we still got more, hopefully, great memories to make together as we go forward.
I just want to circle back to some things that I've learned from Mom and Dad. I'll start with Dad first. Just the value of hard work. Sometimes I think I have it difficult where. I look back at it and I see that with Dad running a business and the amount of hours that he worked, but he always found time to be at church, to be serving in church, involved in church, and he showed what it is to be a godly leader in our household, to hold true to biblical truth and to teach that to us and to live that out. And that's something that always sticks to me, the hard work that he did. And sometimes I'll think, I'm having a tough day here. And I remember Dad was able to do all this, and he had a lot more responsibility than than I have, and he was able to handle it. And he was younger than we were at the time as well, and he managed to put everything together. And so he's just an inspiration of what hard work is. And I always, whenever I talk to people, I always think my dad's the smartest person in the world, and that's what I always thought of. And he could do anything around the house, figure anything out. And so I always think of him that the smartest person there is, but also a godly father with a lot of wisdom. And so that's something definitely appreciate about Dad. And from Mom, just one of the things that always sticks out to me is that she's always looking to hand out tracts to people.
Even today, I took
Yeah.
her to the doctor, and it was raining
Yeah.
out, so I went around to get the car and brought it, and it looked like she was trying to break into this person's car. I'm like, what is she doing? They're like, oh, she's putting tracks in I
Yeah.
should have known better. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, I'm putting some tracks in.
If there's someone you wanted to get the gospel in their hands, send them to Mom and Dad's house.
Yeah.
They will, Mom will make sure that they get a track, and she is totally just unashamed the way we should be about the gospel, and she looks to just make conversation. She goes out evangelizing and looks to make conversation with anybody to tell them the good news of salvation. So that's something that Mom has just been just such an encouragement in that, to tell others about the Lord and the good news about that. And also just to both the Mom and Dad to raise our children in a godly way, teaching them the Bible, making sure that we are involved in serving in church. Those are things that Mom and Dad have taught us, and making sure that we try and do with our families. So those are things that I've learned from Mom and Dad.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think is that their generosity.
That's another one.
With
yeah.
even though Dad worked hard and Mom too, it doesn't happen without the two of them, because Dad couldn't do the things he did without Mom doing what she did. And realize that now, especially having own kids, but just so generous with what they have. If anyone is in need, they would definitely help out in their tithing and giving to missions. And remember we took in Uncle Alan for a while when he was, having some health problems, or just anybody that needed anything. They were always there to help out and be as generous as they possibly can to meet their needs. I mean, people at church have been needed help with things, and they've always jumped in to do that. Dad was so big in the building project, and in a very busy time in his life, was generous with his time in doing that. Just really thankful for that, and what an example it is to just be generous with our resources and helping others, and giving back to what God has given us so graciously.
Yeah, for sure. It was, again, there were so many good memories growing up. I can't really hit on all of them. So many great Christmas mornings that we had. I remember, circling back to we went to Arizona. We went to we were there during Christmas, and I remember going to, I think it was a Denny's for our Christmas dinner, because everything else was closed. I remember one time we were in Myrtle Beach during Christmas. I remember that Christmas when we were younger, we got our first bikes, our blue and red bikes, and I think we have that on videotape. But just a lot of really, really great memories growing up, and so we wanted to make this video to thank you, and also just an example of what a godly marriage looks like. I think, how many years is this now? Is this the
This will be 54.
54? Wow. I feel like,
That's a testimony, and
yeah.
we thank you for, we always believed and still do that you put us first, in terms of and the people in the world. You always put God first, but you always both put us first, and we always had a sense of security, and we knew we were being raised by good parents who were looking out for our best interest and wanted to give us the meaningful opportunities. It's not that wasn't about getting everything we wanted. It was really about everything that we needed and everything that was good and healthy. It was just a very healthy upbringing, and I think that's what we all agree on. It was just a very healthy home, spiritually, financially, emotionally, and that's what we thank you for. And hopefully we can continue to pass your legacy on,
Yeah.
and to just and also to continue to honor you as our parents.
Yeah.
So
Well said.
we're looking. I know things with the health haven't been the greatest lately, but we are so thankful for you. We're thankful for the time that we still have with you, and look to make the most of that time. And just want to make sure that that we love you, and we're thankful for all that you've done for us, Mom and Dad.
Yes, and thank you for always praying for us.
Yeah.
And always, just never underestimate the power of just praying parents for their kids. And I know you've always done that. And God has been so good. God has blessed us with so much and answered so many of those prayers. So beyond what we ever could imagine. So thank you.
And I'll just jump in and leave you with this. I know times are difficult, but the Bible says to finish the race. And so as you run in this race, finish strong. Finish strong, and that's our encouragement to both of you to finish strong and to the very end, serve the Lord right to the very end. So let that be your legacy.
And on a lighter note, maybe, just maybe, we'll see another Met championship in our lifetime. We didn't think in 1986 that would be the last time we'd ever be able to celebrate a championship together. So it would be pretty neat if we could do that in some time in the near future. It's certainly not going to be this year, but maybe it'll happen. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Again,
happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. We love you.
Love you. Bye.